Welcome to this episode of the Timers Playbook. On today's episode, Thabo Tema. I used to work with him a while ago at YFM. He's a young guy. He's doing very well for himself at the moment. He's a multimedia strategist. He's got one kid now, 1 year old. Was engaged, but we'll get into the details of that a bit later. 34 years old. Hobbies include reading, traveling, music, art, and photography. Tibos.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
How are you doing?
You have to appreciate life. Every day you wake up, you're able to still see, touch, feel.
Yeah.
You must be grateful.
How's the kid?
He's growing so fast.
1 year.
Yeah, he turned 1 on the 11th of April. Like
a day after my birthday.
Yeah, I guess April is a time for great people.
No, I told you that. 100%.
Definitely.
He's going to do amazing things.
I believe that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of personality is he at the moment? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, he's quite firm in his beliefs. Yeah, he you can't force him to feed. You can't force him to eat. You can't force him to take a bottle. He will only do all of those things when he wants to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Very strong. I don't know if all kids are like physically strong. I think the grip,
I think they are.
The grip is it's very passionate.
Yeah.
But you just being part of that whole experience is just
okay.
It's just something else. But I can tell that he's going to be a very strong-headed person. I must just allow for that environment for him to be that way, because I think it's through how we are raised where now we start being very malleable in our character, and I just want to create an environment where he can just be himself. At the same time, I also don't want to have a selfish somebody, because we all know that we need to collaborate in life.
Exactly.
So I need to allow him to be himself, but also be someone who can share with others, because that's going to be important for his upbringing.
So I understand that based off the research. So thank you for, by the way, writing out this document so well, so giving me a lot of content to work through. But on the basis of it, it sounded like you wanted to be a father.
Yes. It's something I've always wanted.
Why?
I don't know. I've always thought it's part of growth. I felt it's my duty as a human being in this world.
Really?
Yeah, to replicate and spread. Yeah, I've always wanted to be a dad. It's just I've always wanted to be a dad at the right time.
Okay.
And financially was always a major part of it. But the other thing is getting a good partner. So I think getting a good partner, number one, I was too young. I felt I was too young and I was too responsible. Number two, you need to get a great partner who is there with you at the same time. And number three, most importantly, you need to be able to afford this.
Yeah.
Because these people are expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you had when you were ready to have the kid, you and your partner had the conversation. So tell me about your partner a bit. Tell me where you guys first met. Okay. And how do you get into the conversation of agreeing that this is how we want to do this parenting thing, and actually coming to a proper agreement?
So it started, I met her in 2018 around December. I was just wandering around campus. And then I went to the bus stop, and then I get there were these two beautiful girls, and I'm like, these girls are hot, But then there was this one on the left side who had these locks, these dreadlocks. And I was kind of drawn to her a bit more. So eventually, and as we get onto the bus, there's literally 3 of us on the bus. So I go sit to the one with the locks, and I start a conversation. Turns out she's going to medical school, Charlotte Matleke, and I put my game on.
You've got game. You had game, clearly.
I had game at the time.
Clearly.
Yeah, now I don't know. I'm a taxpayer now. I've got different, problems. Yeah. So then I asked her out. She's like, no, dude, I'm in a relationship. So I can't, entertain you, but you're a decent guy, wara wara. So I asked for a number. She said no. Then I asked to have her as a friend on Facebook. And she said, okay, fine, we can do that. Then we were friends.
You're still doing Facebook?
Yeah,
yes.
I needed something that could just connect me to her somehow.
Yeah.
Then we were friends on Facebook. We didn't really speak much over the 2 years after that. So in 2020, during lockdown, I still kept thinking about her. Because what really got me attracted to her was the fact that despite the fact that I could see that she liked me, she was still loyal to that guy.
Yeah.
That for me was a very big character.
Okay.
And I valued that she was so loyal, even in the face of like temptation of the house. Because I know at the time, I mean, this is just after YFM. So I'm still very,
confident.
Very confident.
Yeah.
Verbal dexterity is still there.
Yeah.
Because I'm less style, plus I still had clothes from my clothing endorsement.
Yeah.
So I was still fairly,
Okay.
well packaged. So then, but I realized that no, I like that, because we know that there's always going to be guys who are coming for women, even though some of them have rings on, which is very disrespectful. But it's a common reality of life. So I like that, and that's so 2022 COVID. I hit her up, inbox on Facebook. Hey, how are you surviving this madness? She's like, I'm actually surviving. I'm like, hey, hopefully we can.
This is what, from 2018, so 2 years later.
2 years later.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, 2 years later. During COVID. So I'm like, okay, let me check up on this girl. Because since I met her, I had never met a girl like her.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't forget her.
So for 2 years you were thinking about her?
I was thinking
but
about
were
her.
you seeing her on campus still? Were you guys bumping into each other?
Never.
How ban?
Never.
So you're sitting there
I'm sitting there holding on to a memory of someone I met once.
Yo.
Literally, I'm like, I prayed, for that girl. I'm like, Ndimu, now. I'll be like an upright man. I promise I will do everything that's right. Just give me her, And lucky for me, COVID happened. I guess that's my COVID story. That's the only beauty of COVID. Because then we started interacting on Facebook inbox, Messenger. And then I'm like, okay, hopefully we can do coffee soon. And then I said, I'm hoping we can do coffee. And then she says, hopefully soon. I'm like,
and then you're, no.
I'm like, no, that
she's responding. So that means Asali Yora. Yeah.
But because I've asked for her number before, this time around, I have to do it differently.
Mm.
I sent her my number. I said, please text me your number. And then she called me.
Call.
Yeah.
Phone call.
She called me.
Yo.
So she later tells me that she regretted calling me because then she kind of felt like she threw away the game. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just glad you made that call. So then after that, we had an official meeting where we met at the Walter Milton Cricket Oval on campus, at the East Campus at Vets. And then we sat on a bench, and then she literally asked me straight up, what do you want from me? And I told her,
really?
Yes.
In the first meeting?
First meeting. She was sitting on the other side. And I said, I want you to be my wife.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. But like I said, I had never met a woman like her who had such values, who really was warm in that regard, but who was very...
So you felt something from the
first meeting.
Okay.
I just couldn't unfeel what I felt, and it was in that meeting when I said to her straight up, I want to marry you. I want you to be my wife. I would like to have a family with you because you come across as the kind of person I want in my life.
Uringen at the time.
She says, I don't have a problem with that. I'm about to graduate my medical degree. My issue is that you're unemployed.
Yo.
Serious, yeah, it's just, okay. But I mean, I guess after 6 years of studying, being with a broke nigga is just not something that you want to entertain. So I said to her, no. Now I've got experience, Then I'm now pulling out my CV. No, I've worked for YFM, I do have experience. I came back to school because I needed to just formalize my experience so that I can go in a different direction instead of just chasing microphones, but now be in a space where I can be a holistic communicator, So it's like, okay, well, it's up to you, but I need you to understand that I'm not going to be with a guy who doesn't have an income because it tends to cause problems, particularly because I already know how much I'm going to be getting paid, So fine, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll show you what I'm made of. Then I started, at the time I didn't have work. Then I started selling flat stomach tea. Mamas.
Yeah, that sounds like you, eh?
Yeah, no, I started selling Mama's flat stomach tea, and that's how I would pay for our Airbnb visits because she was still staying on campus.
Yeah. So you needed posing.
I think I took a pause because I had to go back to Teflup because I couldn't. There's no economy right now. Yeah. So now I'm selling Mama's flat stomach tea so that I can maintain our Airbnb visits until a few months later when I did get work. I started doing what do they call, customer experience research, where I was working on a Lexus account.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we just call Lexus owners after they buy or post service and maintenance, just to find out, how everything went.
Okay.
It's just like data collection for Lexus. So that's what sustained me for like 2 years until I went into radio academics for a year, and then now what I'm doing.
So how long then? Now your time frames are very short. I can see this.
Yeah.
So from that meeting,
when
do you get to, okay, we need to get engaged now and get married? Do you propose?
Yeah.
Rumela batho batsamaise lengolo, like what happens?
So
because it sounds like you guys, it's almost like a Sheldon type situation where you're like, this is what I want. Romance, like what happened?
There was a lot of romance.
Okay.
There was a lot of romance. It's just that it was intentional romance.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't Arbonne where this thing goes. It was a matter of.
So you skipped all of that.
Yeah,
like we're here. We're making this commitment.
We're making this, and that's, we literally were bouncing on the same wavelength. We met at a time where I guess we had our fair share of dating.
Yeah.
She was dating some guy and whoever. And I had also been around. So and remember, like I said, from the moment I met her, I already felt like this is what I want.
Yeah.
So I think what fast-tracked everything was the fact that I came in with intention that I want you to be my wife. I want you to have my kids.
And she probably wanted the similar thing, or at least someone who shares the same kind of values.
Yeah. And I guess I came in with those values, and I found those values in her.
Okay.
So then everything was very romantic. It's still like a normal relationship. It's just that.
So did you propose?
I did propose.
Okay.
Yeah, I did propose, even though she didn't want a diamond ring, so I had to buy a Masonite. She's against the drug, diamond mafia.
Yeah, conflict diamonds.
Conflict diamonds. I'm like, because I wanted to buy her like a nice,
Okay.
But I'm like, hey, you know what? It's fine. So I still got her something. I did propose. So the proposal happened just after the pregnancy. My intention was, let's date for 2 years, and then I can send my family over. So I was planning to propose around the 2-year anniversary mark, which is still what I did. And that's around when we found out about the pregnancy.
Which was, your kid is what, a year old now?
He's a year old
so
now.
So that's like 2 years ago she got pregnant.
Ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the entire relationship was 3 years old. Yeah. By the time of her passing. So around the second year of the relationship, that's when I officially proposed, and then I sent my family over to hers. So this was the process. I proposed, and then we did a prenup.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we did a prenup, and then our families met. Yeah.
Okay.
And then our families met. So kakokota, and then they gave us their requirements. While I was still putting together the requirements, that's when she passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you fine to tell us what happened?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I take therapy. I've got good support. It's something I'm very open about.
Yeah, because when I'm checking the timelines, like you're saying, you've only been together for essentially 3 years.
Yes.
Right. So let us know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she passed.
So she was at the time of her passing, she was doing her community service. So what typically happens when you do your medicine degree is that you study for 6 years, and then you do 2 years of internship, and then 1 year of community service. So that's 3 years post your schooling, where you are employed by the government, they pay your salary, and then you are allocated to certain clinics, hospitals, whatever. So she was at Steve Biko for 2 years, and then she was allocated to Joe Morolong Hospital in Vryburg, Vryburg in Northwest. So then it now meant, obviously she had purchased a bond in Pretoria East Mooikloof. So now we had the Mooikloof situation, and then now there's the Rustenburg situation. So now, Vryburg. So now we have 2 households that we're maintaining. So what happened is she had come for maternity leave in Pretoria, where she gave birth in Femina, and then it was the end of maternity leave, and I was taking her back to Vryburg so that she can go back to work. I think she was due to start working on the 20th of July. We got into a car accident on the 19th of July around 2:45 in the morning in a place called Barbaspan, just before Delareyville. It's about 15 kilometers to Delareyville. And in totality, we were about 95 kilometers away from Vryburg. So what happened is And that's what I explained to the police, because you have to go to the cops when someone dies in an accident. You're all suspects, and you have to give statements. And I said to them, it was as if there was no truck, and then suddenly there was a truck. I didn't see the truck in any way because I was the driver.
Yeah.
So we were in her car, Mazda 2. I'm driving. Nanny was on passenger left. Our baby was in the rear seat, and he was in the car seat. She was behind me. The thing is, at the time of the impact, she wasn't buckled. I don't know what happened. Because normally what she would do is she would buckle when she's moving. If she's moving to the middle seat, then she will buckle up. I don't know. Some of these things just don't make sense. So that's what happened. I hit a truck from behind, and because she wasn't buckled, the force kind of took her from the back. She hit the windscreen, and I think also the tailgate of the truck. And she didn't make it. The ambulance took about an hour to 30 minutes to get there.
So were you in the middle of nowhere then?
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And the truck, did it stop, obviously?
The thing about the truck is there was no dragging. I mean, I'm not like a physician, an expert in momentum issues, but it was just a bam, and then both of us stopped. There was no dragging of our car, so I don't know. But he was carrying concrete. The truck was carrying construction concrete for these pavements and stuff. So it's like thick layers of concrete slabs. So he did stop. The truck people did help me to get her out of the car. Because for some odd reason, the only door that could open was my door, the driver's door. I couldn't open the other doors. So we used their fire extinguisher to smash through the rear right window so that we could open the door from inside, pull her out. You know what's weird is I used to carry her, but on that day I couldn't. She was so heavy. I was like, bro, please help me. I can't carry her. And
sure. Yeah. So sorry about that, man.
Yeah, that was very hard. Yeah. That was really very hard. It still is, It still is. But it's just that now the relation with the family, with her family, have gotten so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because now they're saying it was intentional. They say it was intentional.
Yeah.
So for me, what really makes things a bit hard is that her family is now saying it was intentional.
Yeah.
They are ignoring the fact that for the 3 years that we were together, never once did she call complaining. Never once did they complain to me directly. I mean, I was there at the baby shower. They've come to the house we used to live.
Yeah.
So, but it just sucks really for my son, Like, he's never going to have that, woman who really loved him to the core, She really, really loved him. And because we had planned him, it really breaks my heart because this wasn't, we thought like everything was falling into place, after, at the time of her death, we were busy planning our wedding. We were considering wedding venues. There's a lot of long-term planning that we were doing.
You're in the middle of.
We were in the middle of.
Yeah.
Like, we were literally on some, we are going to have to cut it at 120 members, because of the cost and everything. You bring 60 from your side, I bring 60 from my side. You'll divide who's friends, who's family.
Yeah, because when you Nyalong. Well, it is wedding, not Nyalong.
No,
Nyalong, yeah.
The Nyalong has got its own challenge, but the wedding is actually because it's just a day.
Yeah.
Where we must flex
or a few days.
Depending on the plan. Where we're spending our money and people just come and chow our money and we have to live with the debt. Sometimes it's like, maybe she said we should elope.
They'll kill you.
Hey, your family will come for me, I'm like, no, rather we suffer once and we,
Yeah. By the way, how's the nanny? You said the nanny was in the car and the kid in the accident?
Yeah. So nanny got injured in the car accident.
She had a seatbelt on.
Yeah, she had a seatbelt on. But it was more scratches from like the kind of scratches that I got. I've got some scratches here on my hand, some on my chest. But these are just glass scratches. She, I think, had some scratches on her chest as well, but nothing fatal. My son wasn't in any way affected. I do think he does sometimes get like frightened by sound. So I think there is a possibility that maybe that, because he was sleeping, that impact could have affected him somehow. I think that's something I'll have to take up with therapists as time goes on. Yeah, he just sometimes gets startled very easily. Yeah, like if there's a sound, bang, and then he gets startled. But other than that, he's fine. I'll just keep monitoring that. Yeah, it's just that because he can't talk right now, it also becomes very difficult to be able to pinpoint that. But that's the only effect that I could say I get from him post the accident.
Yeah. And how have you dealt with this?
So number one, I must say I'm very grateful to my mother. She's really been holding me through this. Even my dad, as I've mentioned, our relationship was now, rekindled by this event. So I'm grateful that now I've got that part. My current boss, my manager at work, she's also been very supportive. I think she also suffered a similar experience, not directly the same, but she lost a nephew a year before my accident. So I guess, it was still fresh on, because he was also young. One moment he was okay, then the next thing he was gone. So she's also been very supportive, and it makes it very easy when your direct superior understands that sometimes I won't feel like coming to work, but I can work from home as long as I'm able to still meet my deadlines, not compromise on my KPIs, then just, because we have a hybrid setup going where technically I only have to go to work 2 days a week. And if I'm sent to site to go work on site, then that counts as a day that I went to work. So if sometimes I just feel like I don't want to go to work this week, even though I don't have to be on site, but I still work. It's not like I'm not working. So I have that leverage. The organization offered me a counselor, which is good. I have a counselor on hand 24/7 whenever I feel I need. So that does help.
And you talk to the counselor?
Yes, you
regularly.
Have to. Yes, I keep two sessions a month on fortnightly basis, one a fortnight. But now it's more on when I do feel overwhelmed, because at the end of the day, you can talk about it. You need to just find coping mechanisms that are constructive, for my own growth, for my son's growth, and for everyone's well-being. Yeah. So when I do feel like, okay, now it's getting a bit too much now, then I can always reach out and get that kind of assistance that I need.
And the nanny, is she still with you guys?
No.
Is she getting some support?
The nanny left because this was her third car accident. So she felt like, you know what, and it was quite weird because the nanny came on the day we got the accident.
That was the first time
the day she was supposed to start her job is the day.
What do you make of that?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm sure you guys, you're black people, you've discussed this. It's but I guess it's something you don't really want to go there, right? You have a lot to deal with.
Yeah, I didn't want to pursue that. Yeah. But and this is a nanny that was recommended by my Mama Zala. So yeah. So anyway,
should we cut that bit out?
No, it's fine. Yeah, so this is a nanny that was recommended by Mama Zala, and now anyway, the day she comes, and she delayed us. She was coming from Kwakwa on the day. She got there very late, and that's one of the reasons why we left late on the day anyway. But I'm not blaming her because on anything. I'm just saying on the day she starts her job is the day we get into the car accident. And then a week later, she said that she couldn't continue working because this was the third accident. And she was traumatized. So I couldn't expect or force her to stay on the job, although I kind of felt like I wanted her to, because she was the last person to talk to my son's mother before. I mean, last person I mean in terms of an external person. She's technically the first nanny we brought in. Yeah. Because for those first 3 months, it was just her and I who were managing the baby. So literally, this is the first person we brought in to come help us with the baby.
Externally.
So, and I thought because she and my partner already had, spoken and exchanged, so she understood the kind of parenting that was going to be acceptable. Yeah. So she pulled out. Then after she pulled out, Mama Zala found another nanny whom she didn't consult me on. But I had to pay the nanny, which is fine. I still paid the nanny. I bought the baby stuff, and here and there I would buy groceries for them, which she later said I'm bribing her. How do I bribe you? Oxtail. Thabo, I'm bribe. I'm on regular oxtail. Now can look to regular oxtail. Come on. Like, really?
This is the nanny.
This is my Mama Zala.
Oh, Mama Zala.
I'm like, first of all, you are living with a nanny.
Yeah.
I'm helping with the groceries that the nanny is consuming.
Yes.
Because this is a live-in nanny. Yeah.
And what would you bribe for what?
She's
for what
working.
end? What
She's
benefit?
a school teacher in Soshanguve in Mabopanu. She's driving a car. She has a house. She's technically, in terms of where we come from as a previously disadvantaged community, she's well off. She's sharp.
Yeah.
You know. So, but anyway, my son. So yeah, this is what happened. I used to live with my partner.
Okay.
Right. We lived together full time. Before and after the pregnancy. So when the accident happened, my Mama Zala, Baba Zala, and my sister-in-law came to the site of the accident because our car was written off to fetch me, the nanny, and our son.
Okay.
On our way back, I got dropped off at Bosman in Pretoria, and then they went to Sosha because that's where they live with my son and the nanny.
On the night?
Yes.
Or the day?
On the day. Remember, the accident happened 2:45 in the morning.
Okay.
And then...
So for everything, by the time they came...
it was around 10, 11.
7.
Yeah, 11.
10.
11.
Midday.
11 midday.
Okay.
And then by the time we drove from Delareyville to go to Vryburg, where the car was, from Vryburg, we had to drive...
But you're sitting there this whole time.
I'm sitting there. I'm dealing with this.
Oh.
We have to drive from Vryburg to Lichtenberg, where the mortuary is, to recognize her body. And then from Lichtenberg back to Pretoria. I'm there. And along the way, I'm being told, don't forget, you weren't done marrying our daughter. So don't think...
This is...
On the day...
That their daughter, your fiance, is just passed away.
On the day, a few hours after.
Or a few hours, yeah.
Her older sister is telling me this.
How are they taking the news? Like, how are they? I'm sure you are.
I'm devastated.
But also tired, right? Because dealing with the admin.
Yeah.
And just your kid.
I'm a mess.
Yeah.
They were very stern, you know, and I remember saying to my mother that these people worry me. I am here, I'm a wreck. I am crying at every second. I am literally falling apart. I am literally a big baby. How come I've never seen any of these people shed a tear? I'm getting worried. They didn't shed a tear? Never. They never shed a tear.
Nothing, even when they arrived on the site?
Never.
Was the car still there when they got there?
No. Remember, we were removed from the car accident site and taken to the hospital. To the clinic. The Delareyville Healthcare Center, where they literally just wash my... They washed me with water. And then I'm a bandage. That was it. I'm papanado. I'm papanado. And then I right about.
Serious?
That's it. That's all the medical healthcare that I got.
Did you know what just happened? Or maybe she didn't have an idea.
No, she knew Mamu's have been a car accident. But I guess she's a clinic.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, you know, one thing my partner told me. And it's funny how we suffered the same thing. She said Northwest is not the kind of province where you want to have a major accident in.
Oh, okay.
Jomurolong, where she works, Kofrabeck, they never have water. 60% of the time, the hospital doesn't have water. They don't have proper ICU facilities. She was like, this is not the place. That's why we even had to leave Vryburg. I think she had to take a maternity leave 3 weeks before the actual time because she was like, dude, I can't be in this province to give birth because particularly that town.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole province has one tertiary hospital and I think it's in Mafikeng or Klerksdorp. So if any major surgery or any healthcare issue needs to be done, whether you're in Brits, you have to be driven or flown over to that one tertiary hospital. So they don't really have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
So that's the major challenge with that province is that the healthcare facilities. That's all they probably had.
Yeah. So now, this thing with the family.
Yeah.
In Linda no young Warisha family how because initially you said they recommended the nanny. Now you're saying that during the accident. So you're saying it's a sister and the mom in the car.
And the dad.
Yes. How about Sama Isawen?
Yeah.
No one shed a tear?
No, they never shed a tear. They never shed a tear. They never shed a tear. And that's something I told my mom. I said, these people are worrying me. Because now my initial understanding was, if people don't grieve in the present,
sure,
they grieve later.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the same fear I had is exactly what happened. Because then now, a month after the accident, that's when now the hatred is coming in.
Towards you.
Yeah, that's when now I'm being told, well, we are going to raise this child, and this is this and this and this. And I said, but I want to raise my son as well.
So what's along? So run me through what happens. Like one day they call you, Nje, a month later, and they tell you all these things, and now they say they want to take the kid, or what happened? Or did the kid go with them?
Remember on the day of the accident, I said they fetched me, and the nanny and my son. And then they dropped me off in Pretoria.
Oh, yes.
And then they went to Sosha.
Yeah.
So then from then onwards, I started now going to
so they
Sosha.
are with the baby
They're
now.
with the baby.
Yeah.
I was also not in the right emotional state to be with just the baby, just the two of us. Particularly because he's 3 months old and stuff. And we hadn't been feeding him formula. So now I had to quickly learn how to administer formula and stuff. So now, as I now go to visit my son every day in Sosha Nguve, which is what I did every day after the accident, they said to me, no, you can come here anytime. We don't have a problem with you coming to see your son. He is your son. We do acknowledge he's your son. Then as the weeks went by, it became, well, you should come after 6 p.m. because during the day, I'm not here. That's my mama Zala. During the day, she's going to school because she's also a school teacher. Meaning the whole day, my son is at the night.
But so what?
So I can't go see my son during the day.
Why does she need to be there for you to see your son?
There we go. That was the first problem. And then it went from, you need to give us a 2 days notice whenever you're coming here. That's when I started getting very worried. Like, 2 days? What are you planning?
Yeah.
And then now, as the weeks go, let's say a month later, that's when the accusations now start coming from them. That, oh, by the way, we believe that this wasn't just an accident. Yeah. We believe that.
How are they delivering this message?
So the message comes to me when it's fair. It doesn't come explicit at first.
Yeah.
At first, it's in just how the energy when you walk in the house.
Okay. So it's changed. Now,
it's changed
towards
now.
you.
Yeah, it's changed. And then also, I noticed the nanny first. You always, when people has been told something about you, they just can't help but act in a particular way. And then, so another thing that I did, which I haven't mentioned, is on the 8th of August, because remember the accident happened on the 19th of July. So because I hadn't completely finished the marriage process, I went to the Family Advocates Court in Pretoria, 326 Thabo Tema. I explained my situation. I said, what normally happens in a situation like this? Because I was already getting a sense that these people are not going to give me my son back. How? Every day when I went to go visit, my mama Zala would start telling me things that she plans to do with my son. Next year, next year. How long is this person going to be here? And then so every now and then I keep being told, no, I'm thinking I want to take him. And I'm like, okay, so this woman is making plans about my son and she's not even involving me in these plans. She's concluding and she's just informing me. And then that's when I went to the Family Advocates Court. And then they started telling me that, okay, your rights as the parent, you have full parental rights, but mediate. Speak to them first. And then I went and I spoke to my mother-in-law on on Mother's Day.
Mediate to what end? To say what?
So I needed to speak to my mother-in-law and tell her that according to the law, I have full parental rights as the existing parent. And therefore, my son needs to be living with me. Okay. And if he's going to be living with them, it needs to be according to my agreement.
Okay.
Right? And then that's the day on Women's Day, that's when everything turned. That's when she told me that I killed her child.
Oh, she said it now.
Now she said it now. She said, I killed her child.
Wow.
And now I'm going to tell her that I have rights. What about her rights? What about her child? I said, I completely, and I will forever empathize with you for your loss because I loved your child, and you as my mother, I do love you too. However, he's my son, and I'm saying to you, work with me. Let's co-parent. Because my initial proposition was, meaning let's share him. I have him during the week and I bring him over on the weekends because I still wanted to do most of the parenting. I just, because, after a month of going to their house to see your son, the relationship is different. My son used to wake up next to me. He used to want to be with me, and he used to fall asleep in my arms. Now he cries when I carry him.
Eish.
Like, he cries when I carry him, and he keeps quiet when she carries him, and she's the nanny. Like, what is going on here? So then on the 8th of, on Women's Day, then I have the discussion with her. Then she now blatantly says that. And then the next day she calls my mother and requests a meeting on the 19th of August. This is technically a month after the accident. And now the families are meeting like they had met in the previous year, December, to discuss the Maradi and Lobola. Now they're discussing the accident. So on the 19th, they reiterate everything that she said to me in our private meeting, that I killed their child because I want my hands on her estate, and that now I want my son because I want to go kill him too. These are words that they said, literally in that meeting. So I said to them, I don't have a problem with my son staying with you. However, I need you to commit to me on paper, like you did when you were giving your daughter to me, that at what age will I have him? Because I need to raise my son as well. I don't want to be that. The reason I waited so long to have kids is because I wanted to be present. I could have made all my exes pregnant, but I intentionally did not, because I wanted to have kids at a time where I knew I can literally support them, and be there for them. And then now they're saying everything they're saying. They say they won't commit to anything on paper. This is in the family meeting. They won't commit to anything in the paper. And you know what pisses me off about that setup? My Mamazala's younger sister is a magistrate in family law in Northwest. She understands the law, family law. She's an expert of it. She's even a magistrate. She's the one who's leading this witchcraft or witch hunt against me, that I'm the one who's responsible. Then as time goes on, I realized that, there's an estate at hand now, and that's really where the friction is coming from, because now there's the bond, and, there's a car, and that's really what all that there is. There's nothing much. This person has only just started working. She hasn't acquired much. So now the issue is they are fighting to keep my son so that they can have access onto the estate, because how it works in the South African law is, number one, and this is something all fathers need to be aware of. First of all, the Children's Act, Section 20 focuses on married fathers. Section 21 of the Children's Act focuses on the rights of unmarried fathers.
Okay.
Fact of the matter is, as the surviving parent, married or not, one night stand or not, side or rechte, oksalayo, if we have a child, the one who's surviving has full parental rights.
Okay.
Whether you want it or not, it's there. Right? So even if I don't want the child, the law says I must take those rights unless I relinquish my rights. So that's number one. In the event where the other person has died. Number two, when men say, I've been denied access to my child, I just feel like sometimes some men maybe don't try hard enough, but also I can acknowledge that process is very costly. Number one, I was able, because I have a hybrid job where I can have days, because you're going to need days where you're going to go
there.
Yeah, you need to go there during office hours, before lunch. You know how government offices are. And then you need money for fuel, for Uber or taxi. In fact, you're going to need Uber or Bolt. Let me just say e-hailing, not advertise these guys for free. You're going to need money for e-hailing, because taxis won't do you justice, because sometimes they drop you off, then you have to walk across 2 bridges to get to the other side. So you need money and time. And if you are employed in a situation where you don't have those privileges, that's why some guys end up giving up. But I ended up fighting that. And
So after that meeting then?
So after that meeting, then I went back to the family advocates court, and then they said, dude, your situation is intensified. You need to now go speak to the social workers. And then I went to the social workers. When you get to the social workers, you need to open a case. When you open a case, you tell them everything, and then they need to now contact the other party. Then they now tried to contact my Mamazala to have us come to a meeting where we can talk, so that they can clarify what the Children's Act says about the remaining surviving parent. My Mamazala didn't cooperate, and then they issued a certificate of non-compliance. that means that they tried to, failed mediation, a certificate of failed mediation. So that means that they failed to bring the two parties together to come to agreeable solution. Typically what the social workers want is a situation where we co-parent. They want like go more for that because it's more.
And they prefer you guys to come to an understanding before it gets to the courts.
That's what they want. But now, when the other party does not want to cooperate, then that's where it goes to court. So when they realized that the mediation was going to fail, I think it took about 2-3 weeks of calling her, not picking up. And then they issued the certificate of failed mediation. Then I take the certificate of failed mediation. Then I go to the Pretoria North Magistrate Court, because that's where the children's court is. And then I have to go open a case there with that certificate of failed mediation, because that's the only way you can get a case to be opened. Because they need the report from the social workers to say, we did try to mediate and this failed.
The outcome.
Once the case was officially opened and my in-laws or Mamazala is now informed that there's a court date, then she now wants to mediate. She calls the social workers and they want to have a mediation. Fine, I still agreed because, at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that I'm on the right side of the law. And I can't at any point look like I'm, the antagonizer. I need to also understand these people are mourning their daughter. I always had to be cognizant of that. In the meeting now where she's there with the social worker, lucky for me, I had my social worker there and the supervisor of the social worker. So I had two official representatives. She was on the other side of the table. I was on this side. At the end of that meeting, this is what my Mamzala said. She wants nothing to do with me. Although she wants to see her grandson, but she believes that should be done through a third party. But she doesn't want to see me ever again. She still maintained that I killed her daughter for financial gain. She said all of this in front of the professionals. And then, lucky for me, that went into the social worker's report, which advised the magistrate, because then that social worker's report, together with the failed mediation certificate, is now sent to the magistrate. Magistrate, when we got there on the 8th of December, read the recommendations. The recommendations were that I am financially, emotionally, and physically capable of being with my child. We had a relationship with my maternal family, a good relationship before the accident, and that things got bad after the accident. And as a result, I was given the right to go uproot my child on that day. And he's been with me since then.
All right.
So, and the setup that I've created now for my son is, there's my mother, who's now his primary caregiver. There's also
You're staying with your mom now?
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's the nanny, who's in-house support for my mother. And then, so they basically, and then there's me. So that's basically the setup. And then there's my two younger brothers who also come in the role. But the three most prominent people now in my son's life is me, my mother, and his nanny.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this estate that they speak of, do you have access to it? There was a bond in place, car payments, what now?
So recently I got an email from Investec. Investec sends me they call me and they say there is that bond. Apparently the bond is outstanding on some monies. And they're saying to me that my late partner hadn't taken a life cover on the bond. And as I consult, they're like, something like that is impossible. So now I've somewhat sent a
life cover on the bond.
Like, this is what they're saying. Basically, when you take a bond, there is a life cover that is attached to the bond, provided you lose.
Yes, like that.
Yes.
Injury, unable to pay, what.
Yes. So they're saying to me that she didn't take that, and now they want me to apply for the finance of the house. So currently there's a 1.5. They're saying the house is owing 1.5. The house was bought at 1.3. It's a 3-bedroom.
Are you in the house now?
No, they kicked me out.
Who's in the house?
I don't know right now. They kicked me out of the house.
Investec kicked you out?
No, the in-laws. I can remember the bond is in my partner's name.
Yeah.
She got a bond and she asked me to come live with her.
Were you staying with her?
I was staying with her in her house.
In her house, okay.
Although she called it our home,
officially
it's her house.
Sure.
So now, after the family meeting, now great tensions are rife. Mama Zala says to me, Thabo, do the right thing and move out of that house. So I was like, you know what? These people are already accusing me of, ill intentions. The only thing that brought me in there was their daughter, and she's no longer there.
So do like I know.
Now I'm renting my own place.
So why does the bank come to you?
So the bank,
were you a signatory somewhere? How do they even find you?
The bank comes to me. The bank comes to me because I'm where the child is. So remember how it works is, and I was still explaining it. So once someone is deceased, right, then it gets taken over to the master's court. So right at the master's court, then they figure out that this person had a child. So meaning everything that belonged to my partner now has to be allocated to my child.
Okay.
But now where is my child? He's with me. And that's why they are contacting me. Because
including debt. What happens to debt? Do you know?
I don't know about the debt yet, but because we're in a prenup setup, so we're not in a community of property, so I can't inherit her debt.
Exactly.
Hence they are saying, we want you to apply for the bond. But when I do my research, I'm informed that bond should have been covered already, meaning that house should be paid for. And that's what now I've involved the lawyers who are helping me with the child case to now help me with this, to say, guys, do your thing here and figure out if...
Because you don't have access to
I don't have access to...
What was signed.
No, I don't.
What was covered, what's not covered.
Exactly, I don't.
And why would you reapply for the crib?
Exactly. So basically...
who's staying in the house? Why are you asking me this?
I don't know who's staying in the house.
But don't you ask them who's staying in that house?
The person who has the keys to the house is Mama Zala, because I had to hand them
Ask them who's staying in the house first. Why don't you ask them to reapply for the bond?
So that's what I'm saying. I just gave this to the lawyers because I'm not a finance guy, and I just felt like it's not make sure.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound make sure.
It doesn't sound make sure. So I'm like, let me get the right people involved, and that's what I've learned with this with my experiences. Get the right people involved.
Yeah.
Follow the right channels. I feel like if most men would do the right things, you don't have to have money. Be present.
So you're saying it's just a matter of, are you suggesting that they should research more or go to the right places? What are you saying when you're saying they're doing enough?
Like if you're in, I keep hearing stories about men saying, they won't allow me to see my child and stuff. And that is a reality. That is a fact that is happening out there, because sometimes in certain relations, for instance, I come in as a broadcasting guy, I'm with a doctor. Like if you're looking at it from the outside, you may think, but shouldn't she be with another doctor? So some people may have that kind of perspective, forgetting that we now live in an era where people like us can actually make money more than doctors because of where the space is. So I feel like as men, we need to be informed. We need to be informed about the laws of the land, the laws that cover us. Okay. And we also need to be quite intentional about the kind of relationships that we are going to have, and we shouldn't just make babies. I know it happens. It's probably going to continue to happen. But if you're in a situation where you have a child, you with someone, you need to be informed about what this means, because when the child comes, the relationship dynamic, it changes. So most men aren't informed, number one, about even sex education. Number two, about let alone the laws that govern parenting and co-parenting. And I also was one of those guys. I didn't know these things until it happens. It happened to me. And I now realize that these are something we need to continuously teach, because I can tell you so much. I can tell you that because I work a hybrid job and because I at least get a slightly much decent pay, I was able to run around. I paid 16,000 rands for the lawyers for a one-day court appearance. That's a lot of money. So can you imagine someone who's earning 4.5?
That's not going to happen.
How's that going to happen for them? So it means you have to go the legal aid board route, where when you get to the office, there's 250 people at 4 o'clock in the morning before they open at 8. So, and which employer is going to allow you to miss the whole day, of work, if you're, let's say, working as a bakery delivery guy or a security guard, So I'm also saying that those are some of the factors that make it difficult, but we still need to find ways and inform ourselves. But the first place to start is the Family Advocates Court. Every city in the country has a Family Advocates Court. After the family advocates court, the next place is the social workers. After the social workers, the next place is the court. That's the route you must take if you are going to succeed. Because the court won't see you unless there's a report from the social worker. And the social worker will still refer to the family advocates court for your matter. So when you start there, even when they now go back to the dates, everything adds up. So just do
due process.
Do due diligence.
Due diligence, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Boss, tell me then.
Yes.
Should a father find themselves in this situation?
Yes.
So you've given in terms of the legal route.
Yes.
But for you, emotionally and ensuring that the kid is okay, what's the kind of setup? What's your advice? What do you need around you? You mentioned therapy, all that stuff. So what have you put in place to ensure that you are still going to thrive because you're still dealing with a lot, right?
Yes.
You have a child to raise. You have a job to do.
Yes.
You're still young, so you still have career aspirations.
Yeah.
What would your I know we had top tips, but I want these to be the tips.
Yeah. Number one, I think there's this phrase or saying that says the only way out is through.
Okay.
You're going to have to go through it. You're going to have to go through the misery, the pain, the anger. You have to go through all of it so that you can come out a different person. A lot of us as males, unfortunately, we are raised to bottle in things. And that's why half of our uncles are drunks. And we only get to really hear what they think when they're drunk. Because there's this compressed nature of manhood that we need to compress our feelings. You're going to have to deal with those feelings. There's nothing wrong with crying. I actually am I'm able to exist functionally because I allow myself to cry. I don't know how many people have probably taken videos of me on the freeway crying while I'm driving, but I allow myself to feel the feelings.
Sure,
because you're going to feel anger, you're going to blame yourself, you're going to have the what ifs. Shouldn't I? We could have. Why did we? Those are the natural thoughts that will always be there. So first, deal with the actual pain. Cry it out, feel it out, talk about it. Number two, you're going to need therapy. Therapy is not for sissies. In fact, I think I had a slight advantage. My second major in university was psychology. So already I had an understanding of emotional understanding of I had an understanding of how to comprehend my own emotions and how to navigate it. But it doesn't necessarily mean I knew how to. So therapy became very important. There are professionals who really can help you navigate something so traumatic. Because you know what? When the accident happened, my partner was asking me about the war in Ukraine and Russia. She was never interested in history stuff. One moment we were talking about the Russia-Ukraine war. Next moment, this person is right there, non-responsive. So it's a very traumatic experience, and it's not a picture you forget, but I always say it's a scar you need to learn to live with. So you're going to need therapy, and lucky for me, you're going to need support from family. Family, this is where family comes in. I spend about 7,500 rands on my son. I spend about 2,006 on just nappies and formula because I need to buy like 4 tins a month because that's all he takes. So it's 4 tins a month of formula and about 4 packs of nappies. That's beside the food. So occasionally when my brothers come home, I'll find tins of milk that I didn't buy. When my mother, at least I'm fortunate to have a mother who's employed. On certain months where I'm having a bad month, I still find functional. My son doesn't need anything. Whenever I go home, he's wearing clothes I didn't buy for him. So it's that family structure support. That for me is the pyramid, really. That really is going to, you are in the center. Then you're going to need professional help, and you're going to need family support. And if you don't have family support, family is not always blood. It can always be a network of people who have shared similar experiences. I've had people of all races who've heard my story offer me contacts of their family members who have gone through similar thing. Like, okay, call so-and-so, just talk to them. They've gone through something similar. And also that's another thing. The fourth thing, I guess, would be talk about it. We need to stop bottling in things. And it doesn't mean you're less of a man if you break down in the presence of other men. I think it's the right men who will allow you to be yourself in their presence. if I have to tweak my character, then maybe you're not who I need to be.
Yeah.
You know. So those are some of the you know, and also you need to pray. You know, whatever you believe in, you need to find spiritual intervention, because some of these things are just beyond the human mind's comprehension. Yeah.
Tibos.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing, man.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean.
No, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for
this
sharing.
Beautiful. I haven't actually. It was therapeutic.
And opening up. I really appreciate that, because I wasn't sure that if you wanted to discuss it on the podcast and whatnot, you know. But I appreciate it, and I think it'll definitely help a lot of people. That are either facing something similar, or no family members or other men that have gone through something similar. And it's not just the accident, it's also the legal process.
Yes.
There's a lot of fathers that go through what you're saying, even with their partners that are currently alive. So I appreciate everything. I appreciate you opening up, talking to us. Man, thank you so much for coming through.
It's been a great pleasure.
Awesome.
I enjoyed this.
That was it for the Timers Playbook, man. Thanks to Thabo for joining us. It was a fascinating episode. So please remember to like, share, and rate the content. And again, share the content as far as wide as possible, so we can reach as many fathers as we possibly can. Thank you so much. Until the next episode. Ciao.